Coach Heather.
And our topic today for Coffee Talk, got that good old caffeine rolling at 7 a.m., is going to be, we're going to be vulnerable for a bit and tell you guys a little bit about our stories. Sometimes you may look at us and say, oh man, they've probably been able to do a plank or a squat perfectly from day one, but we want to let you know that we are just human, and we're going to open ourselves up to you guys and let you know a little bit more about our stories and how we got to where we are today. Sound like a plan, Coach Heather?
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. So I'll go first with my story. My fitness journey started about 6 years ago, and it's gonna get heavy real quick. So my mother had passed away, and she was my bestie. We were like two peas in a pod. And when she passed away suddenly, my whole world just came crashing down. So when that happened, I turned to food. Food, when I grew up, food was always that comfort thing. When someone was sad, you give them food. If there's a celebration, you have food. I'm sure that many of you guys grew up in families like that. So when I went through that experience, I naturally turned to food. And the depression, the lows that you feel, you want to do anything to feel that high, to feel just okay, even if it's only for a little bit. I hope that makes sense. So there was a point in my life where I would even work out at the gym for a couple hours. I'd go home and I would eat a quart and a half of ice cream. I'm being dead serious. Sit there with a spoon and eat until there was not one bit of ice cream left in that container. And I'm being vulnerable with you because I know that there are others who have felt this way, where they feel like their worlds come crashing down, like something just derailed their whole entire life. They didn't see it coming and they saw nothing else to deal with it other than food. And I'm going to tell you my personal story that I also felt that way as well. I stepped on the scale one day and I was a mere 12 pounds away from hitting that 200 mark. And I told myself, holy crap, Jamie, you've got to change, or else diabetes, heart disease, something is going to be in your future. You're very young. You're 5'2". That gives you any idea of how challenged I am as far as height. Almost 200 pounds. There was so much extra weight on my body, on my joints, and I just said, something's got to change. And I remember my mom had told me it doesn't matter how you got there as long as you improve and you got better. So I forgave myself for those years of emotional eating. I got my butt into gear. I ended up surrounding myself with positive people who wanted nothing for me but to be a better version of myself. I had to let go of those friendships who were judgmental, who had made fun, who had done anything that they could to not leave me feeling good about myself. I had to cut them out, and that was a very hard process. I ended up surrounding myself with really awesome people, really awesome coaches, people who were encouraging, who saw me at 188 pounds and said, Jamie, I know you can kick butt. All you've got to do is X, Y, and Z. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to be there with you throughout this journey. And I can say confidently that I've been able to lose 32 pounds since then. I'm going to tell you honestly, it's taken a couple years to be able to get that mindset, to be able to get everything down. But once you surround yourself with those people who want nothing but the best for you, like Coach Heather that I get to spend time with every single morning, things just start to come together. So I want to share that with you because you may look at myself, even though I'm not this big buff model, I'm in decent shape, and you might think, Jamie, you've been this way this whole time, but it's been a recent journey for me, and I just want to share that with you to give you guys hope that if you're going through something like that you can turn your life around, and it does get better too. So Heather, would you mind sharing your story with us?
Well, I gotta give you a high
Heather.
That was so powerful, and maybe I should have gone first because yours is way more deep. I do. So I just want to reiterate what you said. So you had a hard time in your life, and you went to emotional eating. Mm-hmm. That was your go-to. Yeah. I assume, would you say that was your biggest struggle then?
I would say, yeah, that was absolutely my biggest struggle. Once I was able to overcome the emotional eating and find other ways to cope with it, like calling a friend, like it's so powerful just to be able to call a friend. And I let myself cry about it. Where before I used to just eat to overcome the emotion. Once I allowed myself to feel it, and deal with it that way, then everything else fell into place. So
Awesome.
long answer to your short question. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So surrounding yourself with positive influences and positive people to help you get to where you want to be.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, that was awesome. I was not expecting all of that. Now I feel like I got to rethink my strategy here. Well, my story, my fitness journey actually began many years ago. So mine began right after high school. Once I saw my body start to change, it was almost immediate. It was like graduation, going into college. Here you go. Here are all your body changes. I couldn't eat what I wanted and not work out and keep the body that I had. So I started working out and really incorporating nutrition, which I just got more in depth with over the years. And I just found it so fascinating. Again, just going through different life and body changes throughout the years. So after high school, college, after each one of my pregnancies, after my first pregnancy, I got diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and I was like, "What? There's no way." I went into the doctor saying, I don't know. At the time, I think I was having frequent headaches or something. He was like, "You have thyroid." I'm like, "How would you know that?" So he took a blood test, and yes, it came back that I have hypothyroidism, which is said to slower the metabolism. So having, again, going through the pregnancies and having that on, not be on my side, I figured it would, or I knew it was going to be more challenging for me to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight, but I knew I had to accomplish it. So I would say for me, my biggest struggle was that on the scale, I wasn't losing as much as I wanted to, as quickly as I wanted to, and I kept thinking to myself, there were so many times where I thought, I couldn't be eating any more cleaner. I was working out consistently 4 times a week, giving it 110% at every workout that I did. Why aren't I seeing the results? So for me, it was more changing my mindset and telling myself it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when I will get there. So we all have our own story and we all have our journeys. And then again, it took me a few weeks before I even started to see progress. But then when I started to see progress, it was like a half a pound a week. I stopped weighing myself daily. I stopped weighing myself weekly. It was once a month. So once I saw once a month that 2 to 3 pounds fall off, it was like, okay, something is happening. And then again, over the weeks, over the months, I continued to see the transformation. And eventually I got back to my pre-pregnancy weight, but my body fat percentage was lower than it ever has been in my entire life. I'm more toned today than I have been my whole entire life, and I wasn't even expecting to get that far with it. So I would say my biggest struggle at times was more of the emotional part of, why aren't I seeing the scale moving? And the way I was able to overcome it was, again, just letting myself know it's a matter of when and if, not if. So if you're exercising, you're eating right, you are going to get there. You don't have any anything health related that could hold you back or affect your results, which again, I still had the hypothyroidism, which was maybe slowing down my results, but again, I got there. So it's a lifestyle change, and just reminding yourself it's not something you're just gonna get to and then stop, because then you're gonna yo-yo or regress, but it's a lifestyle, and you make it a habit, the results will come.
Thank you, Coach Heather. That was powerful as well. And Coach Heather, she has a very different, we have very different perspectives because she's a mommy of not 1, not 2, but 3 kiddos. Heather, what advice would you give to those mommies out there who say that they simply don't have the time? Because I know that you've mastered time management. You're here often from 4 a.m. until 8 p.m. and you're cooking so many meals a day and you're working out 4 times a week. And what advice would you have for those mommies who haven't found the time yet?
I would say, I'll try to shorten it because I could answer that really long, but I'll try to shorten it. It's really hard, and I feel like especially as a mom, we put everyone else before us and we prioritize everything else. There are so many things that we need to get done in a day, between grocery shopping and cooking and actually feeding the kids, making sure they eat, cleaning up after, drop-offs, pickups, work if you're a working mom. I mean, there is just so much to do in so little time. And I always say, like, we need more time in the day. So you have to prioritize. And if you just take a step back and think about your health in your life, what is more important than your health? God forbid if something were to happen to you, who's going to care for your family and do all the errands and do everything? So you have to make sure that you block time for you. If you have time to take your kids to events and do all of that other stuff, it's just like that. If you think about it, it's a minimum of 3 times a week, 30-minute sessions. That's an hour. I don't know how many hours are in a week's time, but 24 times 7, an hour and a half a week can literally change your life. So I would just say, put it on your calendar like you do everything else. Block it off. You have a whiteboard at home. You have something on the fridge. Just make it happen. Don't think about it. Don't keep waiting for the next opportunity. Just do it right then and there. People always used to say, Heather, you're working out. You know, I was doing it at home for certain points. Like, how do you work out with all the kids? They see the kids all around me interfering, but it was like, I know I have to do it. It has to get done, whether they're around me or not. This is my only opportunity. It was my only opportunity at the time, and I just did it. So
I love it. Thank you, Coach
welcome.
Heather.
Thank you.
Oh, so if you have any questions for Coach Heather or myself, we would be happy to reply to any comments that you'd like to leave underneath the video, or you can direct message us. We'd love to reach out to you if you have any other questions.
And we'd love to hear your stories too.
And we would
if you
love
want
to hear your
to be
stories.
vulnerable and put it out there, please comment below. We'd love to hear your story.
Your story, your truth.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. We will be back next week for Coffee Talk. Have a rockin' day and happy Friday.